Remember when we used to discover things instead of being told what to want? When you had to flip through dusty library cards or make mixtapes by sitting next to the radio, finger hovering over the record button? There was freedom in that chaos, freedom Gen X mastered. But somewhere along the way, we handed over that freedom to the algorithm. And now, even our thoughts are curated by code. Here's the twist. There's a whole generation that was never trained for this algorithmic maze because they were forged in the fire of content scarcity, not content overload. They didn't scroll through 300 videos to pick one. They knew what they liked because they found it, not because it found them. That old school mixtape generation muscle, it's exactly what we need today to fight content fatigue and digital burnout. This video isn't about nostalgia for nostalgia's sake. It's about digital resilience. Gen X digital habits hold a secret weapon against the exhausting world of algorithmic content. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, like your attention span's on life support, like you're constantly chasing dopamine hits instead of meaning, then this, my friend, is for you. We're digging into the psychology of attention, how media consumption habits have quietly rewired our brains, and how the Gen X mindset might be the antidote no one's talking about. So buckle up, because escaping the algorithm might be the most rebellious, freeing thing you do today. Gen X's relationship with media before algorithms. Back in the day, discovering new music meant walking into a record store asking the clerk for recommendations or swapping tapes with friends. There was no Spotify algorithm suggesting playlists based on your mood, just raw curiosity and a sense of adventure. This wasn't just media consumption, it was a ritual. Gen X wasn't just consuming content, they were curating it, one burnt CD or VHS tape at a time. That process built a kind of psychological resilience we rarely talk about today. This mixtape generation had to engage deeply with what they liked, simply because there wasn't a constant flood of content at their fingertips. That meant they developed a strong internal filter, one rooted in taste, not trends. In contrast, today's algorithmic content overload tends to short-circuit those inner filters. It's like walking through a buffet where everything screams "pick me," but nothing satisfies. Gen X psychology was shaped by scarcity, and that built intentionality, something digital wellness advocates now beg us to rediscover. Think about it. When was the last time you chose a movie without checking reviews, trailers, or TikTok edits? Gen X didn't have that crutch. They had to trust their gut. And that's powerful. That kind of media independence trains the brain to make decisions, not just react to recommendations. As social media psychology reveals how attention span and cognitive overload are declining, the old school approach suddenly looks genius, almost like they were trained for a world without algorithms. But here's the kicker. What happens when that mindset crashes into today's tech-saturated culture? The psychological cost of algorithmic living. Today, the average person is hit with more content before breakfast than a Gen Xer might have seen in an entire week growing up. Feeds never end, autoplay never sleeps, and every swipe feeds the machine more data about you. That's not just convenience, it's cognitive overload in disguise. Our brains, evolved for survival, weren't built for this level of media consumption. No wonder we're exhausted. Algorithm burnout is real, and digital fatigue is the bill we're now paying. Here's where the psychology of attention comes into play. Algorithms are engineered to hijack your focus, rewarding impulsivity, feeding emotional spikes, and keeping you scrolling past the point of satisfaction. It's not just about wasting time, it's about rewiring your habits, numbing your instincts, and killing your ability to curate your own thoughts. Meanwhile, Gen X, with their analog upbringing, had room to get bored. And boredom, ironically, breeds creativity and clarity. Two things today's hyper-curated internet tends to suppress. Let's be real. Content curation has become less of a personal expression and more of an outsourced service. You don't pick anymore. The algorithm does. That's why digital wellness isn't just a buzzword, it's survival. Start by setting a 30-minute algorithm-free zone each day. No TikTok, no YouTube Shorts, no Reels. Read an old magazine, pick a random documentary, or even better, talk to someone face-to-face about nothing in particular. And hey, if this kind of perspective feels refreshing, maybe toss a like or share it with someone drowning in their feed. Just a thought while we're here. Because once you realize how deeply your media consumption habits have been shaped by invisible forces, you start to wonder, what parts of your personality were curated too? There's a quiet power in choosing what you consume, and more importantly, how. Gen X didn't just stumble into content, they hunted for it. They'd spend hours making the perfect mixtape, digging through radio static, recording VHS episodes, or creating zines for fun. That intentionality built strong psychological adaptation skills, the kind that make it easier to resist the dopamine-driven chaos of algorithmic content. Today we call it mindful content consumption, but they just called it making stuff you liked. It's not about rejecting tech. It's about using it on your terms. You can still use Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram, but try this. Once a week, build your own analog playlist, a collection of music, articles, or videos you found without any suggestions. No AI, no For You page, just curiosity. It's a small step, but a bold one. These micro-decisions rebuild your cognitive independence, giving your attention span room to breathe. Think of it like strength training for the brain, except instead of reps, you're reclaiming choice. And this is where nostalgia psychology plays an unexpected role. When you reconnect with how media used to feel, raw, slow, intentional, you don't just remember the past, you recover parts of yourself that felt more grounded. That's the irony. In trying to be constantly connected, we lost our connection to what we truly care about. But Gen X's digital habits hold the map. So here we are, surrounded by more content than we could ever consume, yet starving for something real. What if the secret isn't in getting more, but in choosing less? What if digital resilience isn't about quitting tech, but about mastering it the way Gen X once mastered mixtapes, camcorders, and late-night radio shows? That mindset, intentional, curious, and independent, might be exactly what we need to take our minds back from the feed. Let me ask you, when was the last time you chose what to watch, read, or listen to without a single algorithm involved? What would happen if you spent just one day living like your media habits weren't being tracked, optimized, or sold? Try it. Watch what shifts, not just in your screen time, but in your thinking, your attention, even your sense of self. The mixtape generation left us more than memories. They left us a strategy. And if this message struck a nerve, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to break free from content overload. Hit that like button if you felt seen. Subscribe if you're ready to start living with intention instead of autopilot, and turn on notifications, because this isn't the end of the conversation, it's just the beginning.